Hey, it's Sabbath, and I'm back. And I want to share a little bit about wait and see. This is a mantra for me. Wait and see. And this, in 2021, I heard this very clearly, like an inner voice that was very clear telling me, wait and see. And the context for that, I had been experimenting with living my design, beginning to experiment with it for about a year. And, not having necessarily a very clear idea of what that was. But in 2021, when they were starting to roll out these injections, I wasn't really paying attention to what was happening. To be honest, I was just really, like probably many projectors, I was really happy to have things like stop and be able to breathe a little bit, and was kind of just in my my own world. And then so I heard, there's these injections coming out and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, that's kind of weird. Okay. And I just heard this voice in me that said, that's not for you. Wait and see. It was really a voice inside me, and I heard it very clearly. That's not for you. Wait and see. So I was like, okay. It was very obvious to me that was my inner authority speaking to me. No idea why, what, where. Okay, yeah, that's fine. And so that's what I just, continued to go about my thing, and had no idea what the implications of that would mean. No idea. And it's a good thing because subsequently what happened was very difficult. It was a lot of ostracization, separation, segregation, pain, being called a couple of things that were very hurtful. Doesn't matter. The point is that this thing that came to me, wait and see, I just knew that was what I needed to do. Wait and see. I knew that that's not for you. Wait and see. And then I started seeing. And what I started seeing was very strange to me. And I wasn't expecting it. And yet, this worldwide phenomenon of separation and polarization and ostracization and whatever else. I'm just speaking it from where I was sitting. That coincided with me, in the beginning of my human design journey, the beginnings of differentiating as myself, the beginnings of learning to trust my inner authority, the beginnings of experimenting with invitation as a projector, and beginning to recognize the inner authority, my splenic center that was always there, that I had often listened to in my life, but had never had a way of describing what that was, nor had I ever really gained a trust in it, like a full-on trusting it for everything. Major things in my life, it would come up and it would just be obvious it's that. But now it was like a concerted focus on that being the only thing I could trust. And really that's what happened in the subsequent years, 2021, 2022, 2023. It was tough. And I felt very alone. And that aloneness was so important for my process in getting my standing on my own 2 feet. Really trusting that it's my inner authority that's the only thing I can trust. There's no outer authority I can trust. And it was becoming more and more obvious. I wrote a post about this on my website. I go into more, not detail, but I go into a little bit more about that. But what I want to focus on is the wait and see, because that mantra has become extremely important and has been taking on further and deeper dimensions. And I feel like it's really important, no matter what type you are, no matter what your inner authority is, no matter what, wait and see is the crux of it. And when I say that, I mean I can come at it from different angles, but the first thing that comes to mind is I'm going to read to you what the description of gate 5 is, because gate 5 is the gate of waiting. So I think it's apt to look at that. What is waiting? Waiting is the gate of fixed rhythms. How interesting that fixed rhythms focus on waiting. And the fundamental attunement to natural rhythms, waiting as an active state of awareness. This is my design earth, my personality earth, and it's also my 2 Neptunes are in gate 5. The fundamental attunement to natural rhythms, waiting as an active state of awareness. Well, the natural rhythms are around you, but they're also inside you. Each body has its own natural rhythm, and the natural rhythm is based on waiting in an active state of awareness. So that points to the second point, which is see. So you wait and you see. You wait and you see. The body is waiting. The body is waiting for, if you're a generator, it's waiting to respond to something. If you are a projector, it's waiting for an invitation to bring its awareness to something energetic. You know, there is a natural waiting that's in the body, no matter what type you are. There's even waiting in a manifestor type, waiting that they must move their energy, that the initiation must happen energetically. It's never a mind thing. It's always a body thing. The body is waiting, and the personality gets to see. So waiting for your body to move so that it's in its own natural rhythms that could be quite fixed or not. That really depends on your design. Even though I have gate 5 3 times, it's undefined. And so I'm not very consistent. And yet in all that inconsistency, you can see some patterns of my natural rhythms and the things that my body prefers in terms of its rhythms. And you only get to see that if you actually give space for the body to just do its thing. And this has become really important, this wait and see. It's become very important for me. Though at the time I didn't realize how essential this message from my inner authority was to me. Because as you live your design, your mind will, as you look at your design, if you study human design, if you look into it at all, your mind is going to interpret what your design is, particularly all of your conscious activations. Your mind will interpret what it thinks those are and what they're meant to look like in the world. Your mind will interpret what, as a projector, what an invitation means and what an invitation should be for, and how people should invite you and what they should be inviting you for and what you should be recognized for. And the mind will interpret all of these things and get involved with all in that. Whereas the body is just in waiting mode until it's meant to get involved in something. And you don't know what it's actually going to look like until you see it. The mind learning to see. The mind learning what your true self is. Because the guru is not outside of you. And the guru is not in your mind. The guru is your body. Your body will show you who you are. Your body will show you what your true self is. Your body will show you what your place in the world is. Your body will show you who you're meant to be connecting with and not. The body will determine that. And so the mind can make up all the stories it wants, but wait and see. And I know for me, especially with my open mental system, with all the questions in my 6364, doubts and confusion, and my 24 that's returning on all the doubts and confusion, trying to find the answer. I mean, my mind can go off into really weird places. It starts imagining and everything that imagines, pretty much everything that my mind imagines is based on fear, mental anxiety, and nervousness. And so it creates these scenarios that, okay, that's going to happen because in the past that happened. So in the future, that's going to happen. And then when that happens, you can do this because that's the way you're going to solve that. And it gets lost. It has no idea. It really has no idea. Life is an uncontrollable flood. You can't plan for life. You can't plan for life. You can only just wait and see. And each moment determines what your place is. Not based on your mind, based on your body. And you wait and you see. And then you wait and you see. And so I'm sitting at a place right now where I'm looking at all the interpretations I had of what my life as a projector would be like. And when I first found human design and I first started experimenting with it, my mind imagined me living as a projector in the exact context where I was, just now living as a projector, with the exact people around me, but now living as a projector, expecting them to treat me now differently because something mutated in me, so it better mutate in them. So now everything's going to change. And that has not been the case. I don't find myself in the same context. I find very few of the same people around me. And the last few years served to create a separation that was necessary, because also, just because I am moving into my true self as a projector does not mean the people who knew me before will recognize that who my true self is. So often, and I say this as a third line, breaking the bond is useful. Breaking with what was and waiting for the new thing to take shape. And this reminds me of, I remember very clearly a couple of years ago in a class with Alok Anandias. And I was worried about blah, blah, blah was going to happen, and, this and that and the other. And he said very clearly to me, well, worry, you can always worry. And once the thing is past, you'll find another worry. But the truth is, you don't know. You don't know. So why don't you wait and see? And really the situation at the time I was talking about, it resolved itself in a way that I had no idea. It actually didn't even resolve itself. It just became, it lost any kind of relevance. It became completely irrelevant, actually. So I was spending all this energy and all this mental activity worrying about what I would do about a certain situation, because da-da-da-da-da might happen, and then da-da-da-da-da-da, and I wouldn't be able to do, and that meant that I wouldn't be able to work, da-da-da, creating this big story. And all of that stuff actually became irrelevant, completely irrelevant. So I didn't even need a solution for it. It just disappeared. And this happened so many times. I was reading the other day a book, and in the book there's just a really short sentence that this writer wrote. She just said, "My mind is usually wrong." And I just laughed. Yes. Or she said, always wrong or usually wrong. I don't remember, but I thought, yes, yes. My mind is always wrong. It's just about always wrong. So it can learn to wait and see. And then wait some more and see. Because you can't do anything about tomorrow because tomorrow is not here. You can only do something about this moment. And you don't know what that is until you watch, until you see what your body does, what your inner authority does. So this is what can potentially happen in the experiment of human design as you're living your design, is the space grows between your mind and life. And you start to see that your mind is actually not life. That your mind so often doesn't really have a clue. So that space starts to grow, and in that space, you can start watching, you can start seeing, you can start observing, and you can start relaxing. And I'm not saying I'm always relaxed. My mind can really hook me in very often. But I do now have this sense where I didn't years ago. Years ago, my mind would go off on something, and that was the most important thing ever. And now, more and more, I can look at what my mind says and know that's not me. And it doesn't know. And probably what it's telling me is ridiculous. So why listen to it? And wait and see. Whatever your design is, whatever your authority is, whatever is happening in your life, you can start looking for those moments where you can just wait and see. And it might start with things that are really, really small. It might not be that big thing that happened to me in 2021. It was big. I needed that mutational moment that created mutation in my life. That created a real big change that for me was necessary and has brought me along to places that I didn't imagine. I never imagined. And this is the possibility in life when you are not trying to control it. You, me, when we stop trying to control life, we get to start seeing it. We get to start seeing it. Wait and see.